sorry, I've not heard much from you tonight, Ash, on today's game. Obviously talking about Lewis Skelly as well. He performed very well. What were the positives and what were the frustrations tonight from your perspective as an Arsenal fan?
Yeah, I mean, I'll get the positives out first because there were definitely positives. I mean, we did create chances. We had, like, Kai Havertz had a sitter. He could have scored in the second half. Gabriel, if I was saying this on the watch along, that if there's any player out there in the Premier League that I would want to have a header from 1 or 2 yards out, it's Gabriel, and somehow he missed that as well. So I think we did have chances for sure. I think all our defenders did a very good job. But there were quite a lot of negatives, and this is where I understand what Hussam was doing. I know he left now. He was just gaslighting on purpose. Like, you guys had a good game. Because if Liverpool played that way against Ipswich, he wouldn't be saying that, even if they won. But the reality is, I think there was a lot of... I've said it from the last time, I think, on your show, and I've said it on other shows. Martinelli on the right does not work. It's too predictable because he'll always want to go on the outside, and he did it the first time, and then once Davis got used to it and knew exactly what he's going to do, he just started blocking the outside, and he's not going to do anything on the inside. I think that's a problem. Havertz, despite scoring, I think does not work in the middle. I know it's Ipswich, so I don't mind experimenting in these kind of games, but I think in certain games, like definitely not the next 2 games, I don't think he should be starting there. But the biggest negative of them all is finding out that, or confirming the news that Bukayo Saka is out for many months. He's out for, like, he did the surgeries. And I've said it, like, the moment he got the injury, I said if he is out until March or further, we need to go and prioritize the right wing, because the reality is, and I've backed Arteta for many times before, but I don't trust him with fixing this internally, because every single time Arteta has had a major injury to one of our starting players, he's failed to fix it. Every single time. You could go to Odegaard this season, you could go to Thomas Partey last season, you could go to Saliba in the season when we first challenged, you could go to Thomas Partey the season before that when we were challenging for top 4 and we bottled it, or Kieran Tierney, who at that time was our major left back. So if you're looking at Arteta fixing it internally, it's not going to happen. He needs to go get a quality right winger to play. And I'm not even saying get a world-class right winger or get a winger from the Premier League, because I know Brentford will... Like, if you look at all the mid-table teams, they're not going to sell you their main right wingers now unless it's for a hefty premium price. Brentford are not going to give you Mbeumo. West Ham are not going to give you Bowen or Kudus. What other mid-table team is there? United are not going to give
Rashford,
you Diallo.
You got Rashford.
No, but I'm talking about right wingers. United is not going to give you Diallo. So none of these teams are going to sell you their right wingers. You have to go outside the Premier League and get a decent right winger and come and do the job.
They will for the... Again, it's about money. And I think the one thing that's a hindrance for that right-sided attack, as the players you've mentioned, is so many of the mid-table teams have a chance of European qualification this year.
Exactly.
Which gives them money, and it gives them the opportunity of a trophy, which some of them may never have expected. I mean, the league's kind of weird from sort of 4th place down. There's such a small gap between all of them. It's hard to really predict who's going to finish where at the moment when you look at the form and the goals. It's, teams are 1 minute looking... I've seen teams in the last few weeks win a game and go 4th on a Saturday afternoon. 2 weeks later, they're sitting 10th, but they're only like 2 or 3 points from those positions. So, no, I do agree with you, but the market's going to have to be... It's got to be addressed by Arsenal. And look, whether it's someone that can long-term challenge Saka for the position, or it's someone who is, can maybe play... I mean, look, there's talk of... An example is there's talk that Barcelona may not be able to register Dani Olmo as an example. Now, that's someone that plays attacking midfield, but it's also someone that...
But he's not a right winger, though.
Yeah, but he can go on the left. He's played games on the left. He's played games on the right.
But then we'll have the same issue with Martinelli then.
So no, the point I'm making is that this is what I think Arsenal fans, in terms of conversations, have got to look at. Do you want someone who's just a right winger, but then they're going to be behind Saka the whole time? Maybe they'll say no. Maybe they'll say, actually, I'm enjoying my football being the starter at Brentford, as an example. Could you go for someone that could cover Saka's position now, but then challenge for a separate position as a starter when he returns? Do you want someone who's a bit more multifaceted and can cover a number of positions? I'm using Dani Olmo as an example.
Yeah, I get you.
It doesn't necessarily need to be him. That's what I think Arsenal have got to... It's a tough one, and they've got to get it right. It may actually be you look for something completely different. It could be actually you go out and buy mate. You go out and buy the number 9 who scores goals, and so I don't think it necessarily has to be a like for like replacement, but it's got to be somebody that I think takes your squad to a new, helps move your squad to a new level. I don't think it can just be someone of
Cunha would be a good signing.
Yeah, Cunha would be a good signing. It can't be someone of Reece Nelson's level that comes in and plays for 3 months and then falls away again when Saka's back. I think it needs to be a significant signing for your club, personally.
By the way, and I'll just add this as well, like because it's been making everyone's been talking about it everywhere, and even though I've said it many times that for me, like I'd want Arteta sack end the season if he doesn't progress us, and I think there's a lot to criticize about him. Saka's injury is not one of them. I think that's the most ridiculous thing I've seen online. It's because he didn't manage his minutes. When you have someone like Saka in your team, the way Liverpool have Salah, the way Real Madrid have Vinny Jr., the way City have Rodri, I'm not saying he's as good as these guys. Before people get triggered and go mental, I'm saying he's as important to our club as these players are to their clubs. They play every single Premier League and Champions League games because the reality is we're not sitting 10 points ahead where we can experiment, we can rest some of our guys, we have that cushion. We are the chasers. If you are chasing in the Premier League and if you're chasing in the Champions League, especially with this format of the Champions League, where you have to play your main team till the very end because it's a league table, right? Unlike the previous format where you could rest your players in the last game if you already topped the league. If we are chasing, and Arsenal will always, no disrespect, and Arsenal fans, please don't get triggered. We are never going to be that kind of big team like Real Madrid and stuff, where we have that luxury and we are that massive that we are that clear of everyone else. We're never going to be that kind of club because we don't move, we don't operate that way. So when we are that kind of club that's chasing,
also occurred from a cross. So it's not as if it was down to the coach. It was generally just really unlucky. That
but for me, it's just the thinking of he should have rested in some Premier League or Champions League games. Are you stupid? It makes Salah starts every single game. How come people don't say that about Salah? It's ridiculous for people to be saying that that's on Arteta.
Guys, forget about the title race right now. Let's just focus.
That's done. Title race is
going
over.
game by game, and if we find ourselves back in that situation, we could talk about it. Right now,
I agree.
I just need to see these guys show me good performances on a consistent basis because we dropped in the last 8 games, even though we're undefeated, we dropped points in 3 of them. We easily could be level on points with Liverpool or at least close to them. You know what I mean? So let's not forget about it completely, but at this moment in time, just put it in the back of your mind, focus on improving the team, focus on going into that January window. And for me, if we can go get Mohamed Kudus, we can go get a Lookman, if we can go get somebody who's a difference maker, do it. But if we're gonna go get like another player that's a project, it's just gonna be another hindrance, in my opinion.
80 million, Rashford's yours, bruv.
I wouldn't take him for 5
million.
million.
More than 40 million for Rashford. By the way, 80 million.
I would not take him on a free.
I'd take Kudos for 80.
I'll tell you this. If you tell me 80 million for Rashford, I'll say Arsenal Football Club better go drop another 5 million on top of that and get me Lookman or Kudos. Because that's how much they cost.
No, I hear you. I'm obviously being sarcastic.
Lookman's a better player than Rashford. What do you mean? Why are you laughing at that?
Yeah, he is.
Who's laughing at it?
No, Matt. Matt was like Lookman for 80.
No.
The guy was
Don't
on the
pay 85 million for Lookman.
By the way, Lookman, Atalanta are in a title race, top of the league. I believe they never won one before. Yeah, he ain't. They ain't selling no.
He's not going nowhere. But the reality is, he's going to cost a lot of money.
Though, you don't necessarily mean Lookman. You're talking players of that ilk, and we do understand it. A few super chats here. First one says, "Stop with the Jedi mind tricks." I think that's to Hassam, and show some chest. Saad, stop being toxic about your team. Believe is what Omar, who's also a Liverpool fan, says there. I think this person means Gabriel. He says, "How did I think he means Gabriel get that offside ball in the net?"
Yeah, Gabriel.
It was the one time all night that the Ipswich goalkeeper actually made a mistake, but Jesus was offside. So yeah. I mean, it was crazy that sneaked in. Do you know, reminded me? Do you remember when Bellamy equalised against Man United in the 4-3 derby?
Yeah.
It sort of scored from a really obscure angle. It reminded me of that.
Maicon in the World Cup as well.
Yes. BH says, Terry not understanding it was 6 points before Liverpool played. Since when did we start saying close the gap when the team you're chasing has played already? So again,
it was 9 points.
I stand by what I said, BH. At the start of yesterday, there was a 6-point gap. Liverpool won, and they made it 9 points. If Arsenal would have lost today, their fans, and rightfully so, would be going crazy that they failed to close the gap when playing a team like Ipswich. They closed that gap back down to 6 points because there was a 9-point gap. I think we absolutely said the same as.
And we
Liverpool.
Chelsea.
Hang on a second. You did also, BH, and I assume you're a Liverpool fan. You might not be, so please correct me if I'm wrong, sir. But if Liverpool would have fouled to have won yesterday, or they would have lost 1-0, then they would have fouled to extend the league and put more lead and put more pressure upon Arsenal. I think football fans have been rightfully saying that for a long time. It wasn't just made up on this show recently. Skelly was given a rough time from Ipswich players like Delap. He still was tough and cool. He was. I thought he was very good tonight. Very, 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 very talented young man.
He showed a bit of aggression. I like that.
Sam, be humble. It's Liverpool 100% title to lose. Sam's just trying to. We all know what Sam's doing. Play it down as underdogs, and when we win it, we can be praised even more. It's just so see-through. It's so see-through.